Hey, everybody, welcome back. We are live from the Man Cave. My name is Paul Knapp. If you are checking in with us, make sure you send up a chat so we can see it. Let us know who's here. We got a motley crew with us tonight. Let me tell you, we're going to start off with this guy.
Woo!
Wake up, wake up.
Hey, how is everyone? Evening. Welcome to another wonderful event, the Paul Knapp Show. We got Jim Egner on tap for this evening to showcase all his awesome 3D stuff for the 1/6 scale. Welcome.
Right on. And we got a newer guy to the AOA.
Hello. Thanks for watching. This would be an interesting evening for sure.
This is Greg. This is Greg from Filmaholic.
Oh, well, there you go. Just introduce me.
Yeah. I usually, let you introduce yourself, but that's fine. Right. Whatever you want to do, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy finally got his internet squared away and his everything was
sound. I got sound. I've got a beer, and I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's do it.
Right on. We already got somebody posting in. Look, we got a couple people posting in already. Elite Action Joe Studios. Who's that?
Patalicious.
And the Big Boss Jack. And finally, for his debut of a whole hour on the show, we have
Sergeant Soldier. Got my cigar, got my little man on the street stuff ready for Jim to come on. Oh boy, I'm excited about this episode.
We do have Jim Egner.
Hello, everybody. Oh yeah, he's a neighbor down the street.
So, since you brought that up, neighbor down the street, how do you pronounce that town that you're from? You and Jim.
It'd be Nacogdoches, it's known as Naca Nowhere. Stephen F. Austin State University is here, and Jim teaches. He'll tell you all about. Leave it at that.
Nacogdoches. There's got to be some. That's got to be a Native American name or something like that.
It is.
There's got to be some history behind that name.
And Natchitoches, there's a legend that an Indian chief told two sons, his Nacogdoches and Natchitoches, to run for a day and a night, and everything from where they were until then would be theirs. Oldest town in Texas.
Is it really?
Whoa, that's crazy.
Very cool. Very cool.
My family settled nearby in 1859.
Wow.
Holy smokes.
See, and no one thought this live stream would be informational or educational, rather.
You get what you get.
Hey, TAR Productions just joined us. He said he's joining you for a beer, Jeff.
Attaboy.
Got your beer handy, Jeff?
Yep. Right. What are you drinking?
I don't know. I'm not drinking anything. It's a school night, man. It's a school night.
Now we're hoping for a snow day here. It's snow day tomorrow.
It's cold here, so I'm having a stout.
All right, so we're going to get started here. You know what? I'm going to start off with Sergeant Soldier. What's new in the zoo, brother? What do you got for us?
Well, Aaron McGowan came by this week for an hour or two, and this is a custom I'm doing for him. I got, let me see, get the camera right. I got 3 of these MacSog advisors. I've been watching a couple of things. Oh, I hope that doesn't fall. I've been watching Tales of the Gold Monkey. Great show, by the way. I really got to relive that. Season 2 of Land of the Lost today. And I've been 3D for some reason. Never know what's going to come in there.
Whoa.
Very cool.
Oh, and I did. I won that auction full of heads. I got them stripped down.
Whoa.
A big bag full of heads. Got a couple of real good ones. The ones with a stain ended up on a figure for the MacSog uniforms. So anyway, that's all I've got right now.
All right, brother. Hey, Jeff, why don't you go next, man? I know you've been doing a lot of work in the workshop. What you got going?
Well, I'm working on my workshop right now, and when I got home from work, I saw a package waiting on my table for me from a guy in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Holy I just sent that the other day.
Well, buddy, I got special preferences with the post office. This is really cool. It's a nice crate from, I don't know if you guys have heard of him. His name's Paul Knapp. And he sent me two of his
I'm
super
unfamiliar.
dope hazardous waste container things. Paul, thank you very much. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, I thought you could add those to a photo story or something.
I will, buddy. I appreciate. Did you make the box?
No, that came from Be Active. That came from
Oh shoot. Okay.
Brad
yeah.
Curry. Brad Curry
Wow.
made those. Yeah,
Hey man, I appreciate that. Thank you very
Yeah, bro.
much.
absolutely. Mr. Phil Mahalik, Gregory, what do you got going on? What's new in the zoo?
G.I. Joe related, I've been kind of inspired by everyone creating teams, so I've been setting aside a few G.I. Joes myself to make my own team and eventually make my own photo stories. But outside of that, I'm working on my 100th video, so that's going to be something special that I'm trying to incorporate different aspects of my hobby into. So look forward to that, I guess.
Right on.
All right, man.
And who we have last here? This guy. Ange, what do you got new in the zoo?
Well, you know what? Speaking of packages in the mail today, I think I got something too from Mr.
Holy
Knapp.
crap.
Yeah. So I got some radioactive, and I thought these little radioactive gems on the top, they're really, really cool. Where in the world did you find those?
Dude, I just went on Amazon and I looked up clear crystals and found those.
Those
There should be
crystals
another
are awesome.
container inside that
Yeah,
container,
there
bro.
is. There's another one.
Yeah,
Love
yeah.
it. And I definitely have need of those, and I know that Jeff's probably going to do a photo story probably before me, but I'm going to definitely incorporate that. It takes me a little longer, guys. When I do my photo stories, I actually write the whole entire story out. So I don't know if you saw any of the photos I just did the other day. On Saturday, there was still some nice snow around. I went to the nature trail behind the school, and I blasted about 200 shots. It takes me about that many in order just to get a few good ones because I shake too much. I fell in the water at least 2, 3, 4 times. Joe fell in the water a couple times too. And it was a little cold. It was a little cold, to tell you the truth, but it was a lot of fun. I wrote a new story up. It is going to be another cryptid adventure of G.I. Joe. I did put some things on G.I. Joe AT on YouTube if you want to take a look at it and see what the new story is going to be about.
Very cool. All right, so my one question for the group tonight, and we'll go back to Sarge on this one. Everybody's going to answer it. Do you recall any live action Saturday morning series? And you know what, Sarge, you got the video right in your hand, man. That was one of the ones I was thinking of, man.
I do. Yeah, the Land of the Lost stuff. I've got a Land of the Lost team going back to the Land of the Lost, and everything's weird, not like they remembered it. And it's kind of an upcoming. I'm waiting for the warm weather to come around, the brief mild weather we have in Texas to get out. I'm probably going to do some green screen stuff. I've got enough dinosaurs now to kind of start. And but I landed a grown-up team, kind of like I do with my Johnny Quest team, which is they're more 74, etc. So, but yes, I do a couple. Run, Joe, run.
No. You only get to pick one, dude.
Okay. I'm taking up thoughts, aren't I? Next.
Hey, Jeff, do you recall any from the 70s live action Saturday mornings? What was your favorite one?
HR Puffin stuff.
HR Puffin stuff.
I remember vividly Witchy Poo.
Yeah.
I
Scared
was,
the shit out of you.
Yeah, scared the shit out of you. She was on a special, like a night special one time. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't the Muppet Show, but it was something else. But yeah, she was terrifying.
Yep. You're probably too young to remember any live action.
Well, no, that's the thing. I was
Saturday.
gonna say a lot of that stuff died out by the time I was growing up. So unfortunately, it's mostly cartoons. And even then, the live action series I can remember watching was MythBusters, and that's about it. And it's not even a series like that.
Yeah. Ange, do you recall anything from?
Oh yeah, I just saw the one up top. Michael said Tarzan. Used to love to watch Tarzan with Johnny Westmuller, who was actually an Olympic athlete. He was an Olympic swimmer. If you knew that, those were awesome. The black and white Tarzan were the best.
Yeah.
And right up there, you got to have Lassie in there. And I know I threw 2 in there. Timmy fell in the well. You got to go get Lassie. So you have to at least get Lassie in there too.
Elite Action Joe Studios. You picked the one I was thinking of. Shazam and ISIS. Remember Shazam, ISIS Power Hour? I think they called that. None of you guys remember that from Saturday morning?
I've probably seen it on YouTube, like old clips, but yeah.
So I remember that one. I remember you remember the Banana Splits?
Yep.
They had one series in there that was called Danger Island or something like that. Spy Island, I think it was Danger Island. Live action. But the one I wanted you to remember was this one. Does anybody remember this one? Arc 2. Dude, this was a straight takeoff, I guarantee you, from Adventure Teams. The guy had a flying backpack.
Yeah.
They had this thing that they traveled around that looked exactly almost like the Adventure
MSV.
Team.
Yep, MSV.
Dude, I'm telling you, you got to look up this series.
Yeah, they had
I've never even heard of this.
They had a 70s movie. Remember the 70s movie that had a similar survival vehicle to that?
Yep.
I can't remember the name of it.
This was out from 76 to 78, I think. Saturday mornings. I think they only had like 15 episodes, but it's called Arc 2. You guys got to get it. Look it up, man.
Yep.
I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere.
I mean, it's got a monkey in it, so I'm sold.
Oh yeah, dude. No doubt.
All
right, it's about that time to bring in our special guest. Those of you that haven't heard of this guy, he's a 3D printer. He's from that big state of Texas, Nacogdoches area. And his name is Jim Egner. Jim, welcome aboard, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We a lot of us already have your stuff. Some of your 3D
I appreciate that.
stuff.
I had a couple of live action ones I wanted to mention to you. Electro Woman and Dyna Girl. Anybody remember that one?
Oh yeah. I've heard of it.
All right. And anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. So anyway, live action. Yeah, Shazam and
Shazam, ISIS. I remember ISIS.
Yeah.
I think we all remember Wonder Woman.
Oh, Wonder Woman. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But that Arc 2 that I talked about, man, that was Saturday mornings. I don't think they did it at night.
I remember there was a live action TV series that they would rebroadcast in the afternoons on our local station down here in Texas. It was called Rat Patrol. Now it was a rerun.
Oh yeah.
But boy, I loved waiting around for 1 o'clock in the afternoon when Rat Patrol came on.
Rat Patrol.
Oh yeah.
I have that series. Yeah. All right, I'm going to start off with the first question, then we're going to open up to the floor.
Here we go.
Yep, Jim. How long have you been doing 3D printing, specifically G.I. Joe items?
Oh man, I've been doing 3D printing, and it's been mostly 3D G.I. Joe stuff for about 6 years, I guess.
6 years?
Yeah, about 6 years now. It's kind of started when I'm a former graphic designer, and I was making boxes to sort of protect, I guess. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Yeah, no, with the chat up.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, I'm left-handed, so and that's sort of where I got started from, really. Was making protective boxes for some of my collection, and then that led into repair parts, and that led me into the whole world of resin casting, silicone mold making, and vacuum forming. So I got all into that. Then about 6 years ago, I decided that breathing the fumes from the resins and the silicone was probably not the best for my health. So I decided what other kind of creative avenue is there, and I started looking at 3D printing. My son was taking a class at the time, kind of like Brad. He kind of introduced me to a piece of software called Tinkercad. I don't know if anybody's heard of that one or not. It's real easy to use. We use it for all kinds of stuff. So that kind of started my journey.
Right
That's
on.
kind of where we are.
And right now, how many items would you say you have on your Etsy channel? Or Etsy,
on the Etsy channel, oh man, it kind of goes up and down. It's about 160s, 165 items, I guess.
Just G.I. Joe or everything?
There's probably 5 or 6. Before I got into 1/6 scale stuff, I was doing 1-to-1 scale cosplay. Star Wars, the TK560 was my 501st number because I did Stormtrooper armor. I used to do the Rebel Fleet Trooper helmets, blasters, that sort of stuff. So that's kind of where that name comes from. So that's kind of it.
Gotcha. Anybody on the floor? You got a question? Jeff, I know you had a whole list of questions lined up.
Well, I mean, I noticed your 1-to-1 Star Wars stuff. Are you a big Star Wars fan?
Well, I'm an original trilogies fan.
Okay.
Everything that's come out since then, not so much.
Yeah.
I'm with you there.
I get where you're coming from. Yeah, I get it. I'm a Star Wars dork.
I think when Lucas sold it to Disney, it kind of lost me.
Yeah,
so,
a lot of us.
Agreed.
But hey, I was 10 years old when the movie came out. I was the perfect audience for that. So I love the first two movies.
Now, you answered my second question, the TK560, where your name came from. I wonder if that was a Star Wars reference. So
it is.
Yeah.
That's a Stormtrooper designee number.
Yeah, I got you favorited on my Etsy shop. So every day I get up and I see what you have new in the shop. So I'm real familiar with everything you got.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's awesome.
Now, I have a question in regards to how big is the 3D printer that you have? How big is the 3D printer? And what is the largest item you can make at one time without assembling? I know there's a lot of things that you have to put together and assemble. What's the largest piece you can make, and how big is the printer?
Okay, I've got several different printers. My biggest one was actually one of the first ones that I bought. It can do 500 millimeters cubed. To give you some sort of reference, that's 21 inches squared or cubed.
Wow.
So 21 inches. That's big enough to do a full-size R2-D2 dome.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I have, if you put me back on, you can see one of Jim's awesome custom for the MSV.
Yep.
That top that he made.
I got you and this guy on here. Both have
another one. Yoo-hoo!
DeLorean doors. Oh, DeLorean doors.
Dude,
This is how I met Jim.
Put yours back up again.
Yeah, I got to definitely incorporate that into one of my photo comics. So that is going to have to be put on the back burner, but I can't give up on that.
Angelo, can you hold that box up to the screen?
Oh,
is that the box that came in? Yeah. So people see, yeah. So it's a cover that goes over the.
Yeah, that sort of started really kind of from the idea that a lot of people had those mobile sport vehicles, but the domes were all kind of boogered up, scratched up, cracked, broken, or flat out missing. And so you can't really 3D print the original dome. So I came up with an option, just something different. Kind of inspired a little bit by some of the other Adventure Team vehicles, that kind of thing.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
I follow all your stuff. I think I first discovered you maybe on Facebook several years ago in the GI Joe groups. But my favorite thing that you make right now, I mean, I love all your stuff, but the Space-O-Matic recreation is it's a mind blower. I have that on my list of things to eventually buy. But obviously, we've seen the concept commercial for that. Is that where you got the idea? Basically, you just kind of looked at that and then kind of.
Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I saw the commercial. Everybody's probably seen that on YouTube. If you've not, go look it up. It's pretty cool. It was a concept about 1970 that Hasbro was going to have this kind of programmable vehicle for G.I. Joe. Pretty neat stuff. They went so far as to create a prototype and shoot it for a commercial, but it never went into production. So that was my idea, was to see if I could recreate the vehicle based on screenshots.
That's amazing.
Thanks. Based on screenshots from that video is really what it was based off of.
How long did it take you to basically design that?
Oh my. I don't really, when I'm doing 3D design, I'm not really paying attention to time.
You're like tracking your hours though. I knew
if I was, it would be horrifying, really. It's a lot of hours.
Did you have to do several prototypes in order to kind of figure out the scale and how you really wanted it to look?
Yeah, it's kind of always evolving, because when a little bit more information comes to light, I try to incorporate new. Maybe somebody's got a photograph or something of the original prototype, and then I say, "Oh, well, I had that wrong. Let me redo these parts." So I'm constantly kind of refining that a little bit, trying to make.
How is the reception to that? Has it been pretty? I mean, it's just such an amazing vehicle. Have you had a lot of people like inquire about it?
It's okay. You know,
Yeah.
it's slow to make.
Yeah, I
It can
bet.
take about 3 weeks to make one of them. So
Oh.
it takes
wow.
a lot of hours on a printer.
That brings me to my one other question. So you've got the cab mods for the mobile support vehicle. So I love those, and I remember at the very end of the GI Joe Collector Club, I know they did an episode where they went to a former Hasbro designer's house, and they showed a bunch of different concepts for that mobile support vehicle to expand on it down the road before the oil embargo and everything kind of scrapped everything. And
Right.
if you look at some of those concept arts, and I can't find those anymore. Vintage 3D Joes used to have those on there, but they don't anymore. If you looked at, they had a vamp similar to what the Real American Hero was made, but for full-size GI Joes, and they had some concepts for that mobile support vehicle. They also had some small personal one-man vehicles as well that were really cool. And I didn't know if you've seen all those, if you've been inspired by those, because all the stuff you make is super creative and really, really functional. I just love it.
That's very kind. Thank you. I've seen some of the prototypes. In fact, the artwork that's on this box was from that batch. I don't know if the lights on.
Yeah. Looks good.
That's number 8, 11. I can't read the numbers backwards there, but anyway, that's number 8. I'm offering that one up now, and that was based on some of those prototype concepts that were never really produced by Hasbro.
Hey Jim, I don't know if you can see these comments on the right here. Eddie Burton says, "Do you make Mandalorian gear?" You're not into the Star Wars gear anymore, right?
The Mandalorian's pretty cool. That is one of the more modern Star Wars series that I like. I could. A lot of other people are doing it, so I'm like, why am I reinventing the wheel here? So.
And can you see that last thing he wrote down there, the MSV section? I don't know if you can see that on the right. Does it have
the concept trailer that I'm working on? Yeah, you'll be able to add that to just the cab and have a short bed trailer add-on, or you can include it onto the whole rig. So that's in the works. I think Sergeant Soldier's got the concept prototype on it, and wasn't until we hooked it up and realized, well, we got some issues with it that I had to retool it. So the retooling is to be printed.
I love being the guinea pig.
I'm all in for that. Just letting you know. Go ahead and sign me up for that trailer concept. Jeff Shear, Skunkworks, just sign me up. That thing's super awesome.
I do have a question though.
Will do. I'll hook you up.
So in regards to your concepts and everything, do you have a large failure rate? And if so, like, what do you do with those failure pieces? Is there any way to salvage them?
I've got a box. You got to understand, with 3D printing, not everything prints. You'll have failures. You'll have a clog that pops up right in the middle of a print. One of those cab covers like you guys have, that takes about 18, 19 hours to print. And if you live in a rural area, if we have a power outage, I'll lose that print. And so I have a fair amount of partially printed ones, and you can't recover from it. You're not ever going to be able to resume print from a power failure like that and expect it to actually line up and be good enough to sell. So I have boxes and boxes of failed prints.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty traumatic. And somebody was asking earlier about how many times does it take to get it right with like the Space-O-Matic? A lot of the stuff, it's 8 or 9 test prints before I have it where you got to understand, my goal is to try to reproduce some of the parts that you just can't get anymore. And so they have to be able to interface with the parts that are already existing in a lot of instances. And so the tolerances we're talking about tenths of millimeters here to make stuff fit. Well, that's hard to nail down on the first shot. So it usually takes me a few iterations to get it right. So.
Yeah, because I had you probably remember this, Jim. I had a half of a Mike Power Command Paradrop crate.
Yep.
And I reached out to Jim and I sent it to him and I said, "Hey, is it possible that your crate will marry to this one?" And it did. It was perfect, and I appreciate you doing that for me. It's great.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
To me, that's what I enjoy almost the most is like, how can I make this look like it went together with the vintage parts? That's an awful lot of fun for me.
Right.
Too bad I couldn't nail the color down. I don't know what you're going to do about that.
I'll figure it out. Yeah.
My next question, brother. How do you feel about those purists that say, 3D printing is cheating, taken away from it being totally vintage now because you got 3D parts or added parts in there? What do you think?
Oh man, well, I had a long paragraph that I was going to talk about that because I'm one of those purists. I can speak from personal experience. I've collected since '91. I've kind of snubbed my nose at the non-vintage GI Joes that are out there. I collected classic collections there for a little while. Some of the 40th anniversary stuff, 40th Action Man, some of the club stuff as well. If you look on the shelf somewhere, you might even see some of it back there. But I always was like, that's not really GI Joe. I understand the purist perspective, but at some point, 50 years plus on, you've got to have an affordable alternative to a expensive original. And I think that's where the market is at this point. I mean, you're always going to have somebody like a Joe Zeta out there they have fantastic yet expensive original stuff. And not a lot of people can afford that. At least I sure can't. And so what's an alternative to that? And that's kind of where I feel like people like me and Brad and some of these other people come in that do 3D printing, is they can provide an affordable alternative to the expensive original. So all my stuff's marked and dated.
I was just gonna say that. I mean, your stuff says, for the most part, it may not have your full name on there, but you could tell it's 3D
just
printed.
about everything has either initials, and it's not from a vanity standpoint. When I first got started into 3D printing, I was doing the tripod legs for the Tank Commander radio. And somebody said, well, somebody going to get this confused with an original. And I'm like, I don't think anybody really is going to get a 3D print confused with an original, but I'll make sure that everything is marked so that there's no question. And that's of a concern as a vintage collector purist myself. I want to know that that's a reproduction, just like they mark the 40th anniversary stuff, it's sure. Their reproduction. Yeah. I think there's room in the hobby for everything. I mean, from collecting specifically 1964 to 1969 military era stuff to anything GI Joe, to custom, to whatever. I think there's room in the hobby for all of them.
Anybody have any other questions before
I got one more. So back to the Flying Space Adventure, I see that you've listed several reproduction items. I have a partial Flying Space Adventure. Are you going to do almost all the accessories that came with that eventually? Is that your plan?
Yeah, I'm working on the jetpack now.
Yeah.
I'm almost there with it. It's still this was a hard one to do. The parts have to be able to slide apart and snap together, and the tolerances, and then the production of the way 3D printed parts are made. Some of that doesn't work very well, so it takes a lot of trial and error, really, for me, to be able to make all this stuff work. So the Flying Space Adventure stuff, I don't know. Does anybody know Stacy Armstrong?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, Stacy sent me. You may not be able to see it, but he's a talking Action Man space commander reproduction with the uniform and the helmet and everything that he sent me. And it came with the red camera. And I'm like, this red camera is a solid resin cast part. That's too heavy. And so, I redid all that just because it needed to be redone. Nobody was really making it anymore. That's
great. It's awesome.
Eddie Burton has another question. He said, have you thought about making a big section of the MSV or a full cargo trailer?
Okay. One of the things that's in the works, I don't know if you can have to get on the right side over here.
Yeah.
This right here. Oops. I'm trying to do this backwards. I'm terrible at it. That's a different project, and it's in the works.
Is that 3 sections? Were there 3 sections in that one that you just showed a picture of, or was that all one section?
It's the 3. It's the cab top, it's the front cab, and then it's the trailer section. And the trailer section actually has a transparent top on it, so the transparent top comes off. So
that kind of leads me into my next question: is do you have any the future designs or projects you could share with us? So I guess you kind of hit that.
Oh well,
I know there's one that you're working on that nobody's seen yet, but me.
Nobody's seen yet, yeah. Except
I almost saw it.
You can pop it up there. You can share them, but
yeah,
I get first dibs.
Actually, Jim knows, or Sergeant Soldier knows a little bit about some of the stuff.
Oh, he beat us.
All right, this is by request here. I forget who asked for it. Yeah, it's a jail cell with a swinging door. I'm not quite finished with it yet. I'm not sure what to do about the floor and the ceiling, but we'll be able to put Joe in the jail now. So,
if I don't need one with a floor and a ceiling, so you don't need to worry about mine.
We'll get you covered here then. The sections snap apart, so they're all.
You can make it as big. You can make it as big as you wanted, then, right?
Yep.
You can just buy 3 or 4 sections.
Oh
What are
yeah.
you planning to do to your Joes, Paul?
Hey Jeff.
Yeah.
You got to put those aliens somewhere when you catch them, right? You gotta.
That's fair.
We put those guys in cryostasis.
You could get some dinosaurs in there too if you make it
Exactly,
big enough.
man. That's what I was thinking, man. It's
I'm all for it. Send a couple this way.
Heck yeah. So, all right, got some more questions? Anybody before I ask another one?
I did want to touch on. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I did want to touch on the whole purist topic because for me personally, a lot of this stuff is breaking down. So for me personally, a lot of my collection is conserving it. So even if I can get a reproduction part, at the end of the day, you're going to put clothes on it anyway. So, you know, in order for these things to last a while, you're going to have some give in that purist, argument.
I mean, Jeff, you've been redoing a lot of muscle bodies, and I mean, they're not all the parts aren't muscle bodies.
Yeah, the plastic, the oil and plastic degrades over time. That's just what happens with a lot of those old plastics, especially from the 70s. I'm going through that right now with Shogun Warriors stuff that I get from my son. You can see, I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's can't really see it because it's not on the Shogun, but there's like stress cracks that form in there because that plastic becomes oxidized over time, and it's just a hard thing to overcome if you get depending on how it's been stored in heat and cold and yeah.
I'm sure everybody's seen the African American figures and the hip ball joints just turn into powder. Yep. That's a degradation of the polymers in heat and time. That's just what's going to happen. And it's going to happen to all the plastic eventually. All this stuff is going to turn into powder at some point. There's just not any stopping it. It's just age and what happens to plastic over time. So,
Sure.
Yep.
Not to be
Everything's
down.
got a half-life.
Yeah, sorry, I brought that up. That was on me.
Yeah, well, you're to enjoy it while you can.
Yep, that's 100% true.
Tear something up, you're like, oh,
They're
no,
just toys.
Well,
Jeff and I talked about this last night. They're just toys, man.
Just toys, man.
Don't get wrapped up. They're just toys. All right, another question for you, brother.
What you got?
I asked this of Brad Curry last week. Where do you think the 1/6 scale collecting is going when it comes in relationship to, say, G.I. Joe? Well, just 1/6 in general. I mean, are we picking up? Or are we going down? Or is it,
it's hard to really know exactly. I think Hasbro's abandoned it for the most part. I don't see, when you go to the department store, you don't see a toy aisle like you used to, where there was a whole aisle of G.I. Joe stuff. The last time I saw anything was probably 20 years ago, or close to it. I guess the Walmart action adventure team figures were the last things Hasbro even bothered to do. So I think they're pretty much abandoned the market, and I think it's up to folks like Brad and me and other folks at 3D Print to kind of take up some slack there to provide some of the things people are interested in. I think it's up to people like Sergeant Soldier and some other folks here on this panel, the talent that's here that creates custom Joes. I think it's up to us to kind of keep the ball going. It's hard to energize the young folks out there if they didn't play with it when they were small. We're competing against, well, let's think about it for a minute. We are probably the last of the kids that grew up without a video game system occupying most of their time. I think that's really where things are. You're competing against a video game player now. That's what kids spend all their time doing. I'm not sure how you crack into that and turn it around. I tried to introduce G.I. Joes to my kids and my nephews when they were little. They played with them a little bit, but it didn't stay with them. So I don't know. I think the 90s kids that played with the classic collection figures, they're probably just about to hit that age, mid-30s. They start to get nostalgic, start thinking about their childhood. They're starting to have their kids, and they're going to, what did mom do with my old G.I. Joes? And they're going to start dragging those things out, and they're going to get nostalgic. So I think we got another wave coming. But that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking about this the other night because it keeps coming up. How can we revive or the 1/6 scale and try to get those kids who are so into video games into maybe the 1/6 scale G.I. Joe collection and things like that to meld or blend the video game with the figure with the show The Last of Us that's on right now. It's a huge hit, and it's a video game. What great characters you could actually build. Could someone make into 1/6 scale? Far Cry and all these Red Dead Redemption, all these different video games that kids are gravitating towards. Why not make figures? And I know that they'll probably make smaller ones, but wouldn't it be so neat to be able to make them in 1/6 scale to have all the accessories that go along with it? That would then be their tie-in to the 1/6 scale industry.
My son has started collecting based on his video games as a child, and I'm building him custom 1/6 scale. The first is a Snake Plissken.
Oh wow, cool!
How that came about, but he got into the movie, and he's into, like you said, the Far Cry stuff. With a G.I. Joe head, he's into now. After 20 into it, but he has a small and growing collection of Family Guy and Venture Brothers and things like that.
Cool.
And the Halo figure, it was on Adam's show.
Oh,
that Halo 1/6 scale, that was awesome. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
To kind of expand upon that,
how do?
Hold on, go ahead, Jim.
Go ahead.
Oh no,
I was going to say, what got you into it?
That's you.
Oh well, to kind of expand upon that, I think the 1/6 collecting has become more boutique because if you look at Hot Toys, they're pushing out releases that are more tied to movies and things that are more pop culture, so to speak. So if you don't have a comic book or if you don't have a movie tied to your license or to your line, it's kind of hard to get off the ground. You know what I'm saying? So for me, because I've seen, people my age gravitate towards Marvel Legends, G.I. Joe Classified, because that's what they were exposed to in media, right? So in terms of video game figures, there are out there, but they're more boutique. The ceiling for the 12-inch action figure is no longer at the floor, unfortunately. So it's kind of abandoned kids, and it's aiming more towards that collector market, like Mr. Egner mentioned, where they're getting into their 30s and they're feeling nostalgic for certain characters or certain lines that they had growing up or video games that they played. So for me personally, that's what because the reason I jumped into the 1/6 scale is because I no longer felt that the 3 3 3/4 and the 6-inch were actually like as detailed as 1/6 scale figures. So if there was a company out there that was willing to kind of meet that market of price per character, so to speak, then I think the 1/6 scale would be better off, you know, in that regard. Because right now everything has to be tied into a license in order to be successful, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
But that was the whole tangent. Sorry.
No,
No,
Never
right
even
on.
thought about it like that. Yeah.
Got another question for you, Jim.
You bet.
Getting a little personal now, okay? What other toy collections do you collect other than GI Joes?
Wow.
What other collections will your wife let you collect? Other than
Uh, the I guess I've got a little bit of my $6 Million Man from the 70s. That was mine when I was a kid. Got a little bit of Micronauts, a little bit of Star Wars.
Oh yeah, Micronauts.
A little bit of 40th anniversary, a little bit of Action Man 40th anniversary and club stuff. That's all. I'm 99 and 44, 97 and 44 100% vintage Joe.
Right on.
It's awesome.
Next question. You were a Saturday morning cartoon kid, were you not?
Yep.
What was your favorite cartoon back in the day?
Oh man, it's this is going to make you laugh. It's probably, I'm going to say Scooby Doo, mainly because I really enjoyed the background plates that they had. They were creepy and kind of scary looking to a kid. For something that's super silly, is probably Speed Buggy. Probably anybody remember that one?
I remember that one.
Yep.
Buggy, woo!
Yeah, Speed Buggy probably. We watched the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner show. Saw those all the time. But the ones that really kind of stuck with me, to a lesser degree, Johnny Quest, because it wasn't being shown that often in my market. But the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner show was definitely, and so was Scooby Doo. So that's and Speed Buggy.
You and Adam will get along real good, huh, Jeff?
No, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, got anything else? I got a couple more questions, but if you guys got something, jump in, man.
I was going to say real quick, back to the toy industry thing. I was thinking about this from last few live streams I've been on. I kind of look at what's going on now with people like Jim, Brad Curry, Greg at Cotswold Collectibles. Now White Elephant Toys has just popped up, as well as some of these other small. I call them like Greg says, boutique toy manufacturers. To me, it really reminds me, and I drink beer. It reminds me of the craft beer boom from about 10 to 12 years ago, where all these small microbreweries started to pop up, and all the bigger breweries ignored everybody until these small breweries started taking some of their market share and becoming more and more popular amongst, just beer drinkers. It's kind of what's going on right now with our hobby, because we have a lot of small boutique manufacturers that make limited runs of projects. And a lot of people are buying those and buying them out and collecting them. And there's a collectability factor with them. And more people, it seems like, are starting to get interested in our hobby. It might not be what we want it to be, but I think I look at the big toy manufacturers like Mattel and Hasbro and Playmates as kind of like the big beer manufacturers like Budweiser. They're just ignoring us right now until they're going to find out that maybe they can't ignore us. And that's my hope. Does that make sense?
I wholeheartedly agree.
100%.
TAR Production says Popeye. I think he's talking about you, Sergeant Soldier.
Sailor's hornpipe. Yeah, man.
Hey, Jim. One more personal question. Do you have a best friend growing up? Anybody else that collected GI Joes that you hung out with?
Oh, well, we grew up in rural area. I didn't have a neighborhood. The nearest kid that was close to my age was miles away. And my dad kept me busy most of the time working for him. So when I did have some idle time. It was G.I. Joe play for me growing up was kind of a solitary thing. It's I did have some friends that did have G.I. Joes, and every once in a while we get together, but it wasn't like a backyard battlefront where people would get out there and everybody would bring their stuff and it'd be a day-long operation. It was just mostly just me.
Just you?
We built tree houses and raced go-karts. That was the activity when friends of mine were able to get together. It didn't happen all that often either.
Gotcha. Angelo, did you just drop us?
Uh-oh.
You must have.
Uh-oh.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
Maybe he had something
He'll
come
be
up.
back. So, anybody else? Jeff,
Ah,
questions?
Mhm.
Got 2 more yet. 3 more yet that are on my list. What's the next convention or show you're going to be at?
I'm going to make it to the DFW show.
Say again. I'm sorry.
I said, I think we're going to try to make it to the DFW show.
All right.
That one's coming up. I believe it's in June sometime.
Okay.
have they decided what the custom is going to be for that one yet? But they usually do a Cotswold does a custom figure, I think, for that every year, don't they? Or whatever the club down there is.
Yeah, Cotswold does something, but I don't know if it's been made public yet or not. So
Yeah, I always look for it, but
it's kind of funny, the customs in the past. I think I've got one on the shelf. The yellow. I don't know if you can see him here. The yellow guy right here.
that's what I got.
Yeah. That was, I think, the last show I was able to attend. that was the custom one from then.
The one the last year they just did the Ranger, I think, or the
Mhm.
Yeah, it seems like that was what they did last year.
yeah. Or
I didn't make
they
it
did
last
something.
year.
Yeah. You look like John Wayne, man. It was pretty cool.
I've got an old convention T-shirt. It's got G.I. Joe with a cowboy hat on. So that was kind of cool. Need to make him a cowboy hat, I guess now.
So, are you still collecting for yourself though, other than just building 3D stuff?
Not much.
Not much?
Around here. Jim could probably tell, or Sergeant Shoulders would probably tell you. There's not a whole lot of vintage stuff showing up. Last thing I bought was at an antique store last summer, I think it was.
Yeah,
it was a couple of figures that needed to be refuzzed.
So no Holy Grail that you're looking for?
I'm always looking, but it's slim pickings out here. So
Yeah, that's for
Question?
sure.
Is there a Holy Grail that you want for your collection though, if you could find it?
Oh man, as a former graphic designer, I love the box art. So really anything, any box, anything, that's kind of my Holy Grail. I'd love to have a original African American figure. I know those things are getting harder and harder to find in any kind of original condition. A lot of people are having to replace the bodies on them. Panther Jet, maybe. I've passed on a couple of them over the years. Just I felt like they were too expensive, and I kind of regret not going ahead and picking one up. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Anything boxed, anything vintage. Really, a Holy Grail. Oh man, I don't know. Yeah, that's it. I'm not that picky. As long as it's vintage, right?
Eddie Burton wants to know if I have anything new going on. Actually, you want to show him? He may have missed the earlier 3D print. Eddie Burton, this is what I've got going on, but he's making it for me. It's a jail sale.
Yeah, jail sale.
Custom made jail sale, and I'm working on a diorama that's going to go in, and you guys are all going to have to wait a couple weeks till I get that and show it to you.
Dude, your diorama skills are impressive.
Yeah,
Thanks, man. This will be the first diorama I'm doing in 1/6 scale. Usually I do 1/12
Angelo's
scale.
kitchen and his comic book, his Easter comic book. That kitchen is wow.
Oh, Angelo's, yeah.
And Poplocks 4583 has a great bar. That nautical based bar.
He does. He does.
That was funny, man. He had a good show this week.
I am so building a bar. I've got 99 bottles of beer right here.
You build a bar, and I'll send a guy to put in your bar. You get that bar built, and I'll send a special GI Joe for your bar.
Hey, you got to tell me how you did that kitchen, man. What a great set piece. Needs a big butcher kind of hang around on stools and stuff and drink
Yeah,
beer.
most of that actually was a knockoff Barbie set that I just repainted and added some details to it. So we'll hook up and talk about that one.
Thank you. I
Hey.
appreciate that, Angelo.
Hey, Angelo, do you use a special camera when you do your photos, or do you use a phone?
No kidding.
I use my phone.
Oh wow.
Is it an Android or a
Android. The only thing with this one, it has an awesome camera on it.
Yeah.
I love it, and that's the only reason I wanted that phone was for the camera. And I take, like I said, I take over 200. Usually it's about 300 pictures per photo comic that I do in order to get the ones that I want that look halfway decent. So yeah, just my phone.
I love that log. He's carrying the alien across the log. That was just, I loved it.
Yeah, you're the gold standard for photos, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, some cool photo stories.
Definitely.
All right.
Yeah, definitely.
No other questions? It's getting down to the wire here. We still got to play a game with Jim here.
Let's do it.
Angelo, any other questions? Greg, any other questions?
This is going to
I
be
did
bad.
have one, but short.
Yeah, go ahead. No, ask now, man. Ask now.
Oh no, Angela had to go first. I thought.
That's all right. No, you're good. You're good, Phil Mahoney.
No, you're good. No, go for it. I'll talk too much as it
Oh
is.
my
All right,
God.
all right.
No.
All right, go. Ask.
Well, for Jim, I know they said all the different things that you have coming up with the vehicles. I know you've been focusing on mostly on the MSV. Do you have any? With Jeff mentioned before, like the Vamp. Do you have any inklings, any thoughts about going that route to make a different type of Jeep?
Okay, I'm glad you asked me that question. I'm working on 4 different vehicles.
Wow.
Reproduction of the Crash Crew fire truck. I'm about 99% done with it. I just need to get it printed. I'm working on a proto Vamp. This would have been a Vamp type vehicle that you might have seen. Just think of it just past Adventure Team time period, just before it went, Hall of Fame stuff. Okay, so think of a 1979, 1980 prototype Vamp. I think those were originally based off of a Lamborghini 4-wheel drive vehicle or something. So it's kind of like that.
Yep.
And then there's I'm doing a Land Rover, but done the right way.
No way.
Awesome. Any teaser photos or pictures or anything you could share with us?
Yeah, I can. I'll do it in this live stream here or not, but yeah, I've got the model work done for most of it now.
Cool.
So.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the vehicle stuff,
Angela?
because I got that big printer, I can print pretty good size vehicles on it. So it just, like the Crash Crew body for the Crash Crew truck is going to take me about 4.5 days to print. And that's an awful long print.
Jeez.
For failure. Yeah. So I've kind of dragged my feet of printing it, mainly because it's such a 3 days and 12 hours and the power goes out, I'll lose all of that. It's all lost.
Jesus. Wow.
I have to be a little cautious about it. Need to put a battery
really.
backup on or something. I don't know.
Greg, you had another question?
Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned that you were a fan of the box art. I just wanted to know what your favorite was.
Oh man, I don't guess I really have one. Probably the Recovery of a Lost Mummy Adventure, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Maybe because I had that when I was a kid.
Hmm.
But all the Adventure Team stuff is just so much fun, so much action in those, illustrations that your imagination just takes off. At least mine did.
Right.
All right, I don't know if you watched our show last week with Brad Curry, but we have this game we call Who Did That?
Yeah, I'm going to be worse than he was on that one. I can tell you that.
Do you
This is
feel
going to be bad.
Do you feel the 5 of us pretty well to figure out who did that?
I don't know. I'm just going to randomly run off names here. See how bad I get. So
Sergeant Soldier, you probably know all his stories by now. That's not fair, you know.
I don't know. He's full of surprises. So
All right, let me pick one here. Let's see. Who should I start off with? It's funny because I get these throughout the week and I get to read them, and then I gotta, I get a page and a half, and I gotta get it down to like 2 sentences, you know. So,
I told you I write a lot.
I know, dude, you're like the worst. Man. All right, here we go. I think everybody can relate to this one. I was delivering a newspaper on my scooter when 2 German shepherds jumped a fence and chased me. I gunned the throttle, and while looking back, hit a sign across the street. I flew off the scooter onto my face. I chased the dogs away with newspapers and ended up with 30 stitches. Who did that happen to?
oh my goodness. I'm looking at everybody's face here, trying to read a poker face here, trying to guess here. Man, I have no idea.
Everybody probably delivered newspapers back in the day, huh?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Got to guess, man.
Got to guess. Greg, how does that sound?
Unfortunately,
Greg's too young.
No.
They didn't even have newspapers when he was growing up.
I told you it's going to be terrible at this.
Who's going to fess up? Who did it?
Oh my God. I wondered if it's Angelo.
And now, see, Jeff, here's what happened. Not only did I get 30 stitches in my right leg, my left leg had muscle damage. So to this day, I can't work out my legs the way you do. So it's going to just be all upper body. So we got to like blend our bodies together.
You skip leg day. You have to skip leg day. Yeah, that's tough.
All right, here you go. Next one. I built a model rocket.
Terrible. All
right. Here's your chance to redeem yourself, brother. I built a model rocket with my brother and took it to the park to launch it. While he was hooking up the igniters, I set it off and burned his hands. Who did that?
Oh, dang.
Burn his brother's hands.
Burn his brother's hands. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Sergeant Soldier just has sisters. So I'm pretty sure it's not him. Let me think here. Jeff.
Oh, you got it, right?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep. That's me.
No poker face, Jeff. No poker face.
I thought I killed him. I cried the whole night because he had to go to the emergency room and he got his hand treated for burns. I thought I killed him. Yep.
Oh my.
I think I even slept in his bed with him that night because I didn't want him to die.
Oh no. Was that an older brother or a younger
Yeah,
brother?
it's my oldest brother. Yep.
All right, here you go. One more.
You got some more?
Yes, sir. I was playing Samurai Warrior and hit a support beam of a potting shed. A paper wasp's nest the size of a Frisbee fell down after I hit it.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know. I'm looking at people's poker faces, and it's hard to read. Angelo's too far back. I can't really make that out there.
He's
I'm going to say
cheating.
Greg.
No.
Tomahawk.
No, I was guessing Greg too.
That sounds like something I would do, though.
All right, so there's two down, one up. So, all right, what?
I wasn't Angelo, man. You gonna fess
Really?
up or what? Sergeant Soldier, you gonna tell me it was you? Or not?
I saw the TV show Shogun, and I had a pot on my head when I did it, and they stung my nipple, and I had to go to school the next day with swollen breasts.
Oh my gosh! Oh.
And my
That's
dad put tobacco on all the stings and band-aids over that. So I walked around with his dip tobacco on my nipple.
So they do it in Texas, man.
Oh,
Yeah, that sounds like a Texas remedy for sure. Okay, what else you got? Whew, that's terrible.
I don't know if I
Okay.
should read any more of these, man. All right,
Oh.
let's see. This is kind of odd. Okay, my family and I were going to a party when I noticed a blacked out van with matte finish, no windows, and no windshield. To top it off, it was there was a fully dressed clown driving it. To this day, nobody believes my story.
Oh.
Dude, that's just like Halloween shit, man.
Oh man, no idea here. Just because I hadn't picked him yet, I'm going to say Angelo. That's my.
I got to guess.
Yeah.
I'd say it's Filmaholic.
Yeah.
That's some northern. That's some northern. That's some northern Illinois stuff there, man.
Yeah, that's for sure, right? Right?
You're gonna see
There's
that
on
on the
Cicero,
south side
too.
of Chicago.
You got a lot of blacked out fans up there?
Oh
or what?
yeah.
The crazy thing is, it wasn't even in October, so it was like not in the season for it to be, relatively relevant. So I don't know. It was bizarre.
I'm not surprised actually.
All right. I got 901. We'll give you one more, okay?
All right, let's do it.
In 5th grade, I broke a bathroom toilet stall door off its hinges and blamed it on a 1st grader. Who did that?
Oh man, I don't know. Angelo.
No.
Again, Catholic school, man. Catholic school.
Yeah. You can always go to confession, man.
I was not going to the principal for that one, man. I'll tell you what.
You can always go to confession and say you did that. And you're forgiven.
The devil made me do it. The devil made me do it.
Oh my goodness.
That's how you get out of that stuff.
Too much fun.
All right. Jim Egner, I'm going to bring you up one more time so you can do a little plug for your Etsy store or anything else you want to talk about.
Okay, well, I know we're running over, so I won't keep it long. Just if you have a chance, go check out my Etsy site. It's tk560.etsy.com. That's it. That's all I got.
That's it?
Yeah. And stay tuned. I got a whole lot more stuff coming.
Yes, sir.
A whole lot more stuff. So,
well, we do have the president on the line with us tonight, Jeff. I think we could probably make him an honorary member of AOA, don't you think?
100%.
Yeah?
Yep.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, thanks. Appreciate
welcome to the club. Welcome to the community. How about that?
Yeah.
Hey, man, that sounds awesome. Thanks a lot.
Got to keep the 1/6 scale alive here. 1/6 scale, got to stay alive. So.
Yeah, man, you're a great store to follow. You're a great follow on Facebook, and keep doing the hobbies work, man. It's an inspiration to all of us. I think everybody can agree.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much. Absolutely. That's very kind. I know Sergeant Soldier's on me to get updates on my YouTube page. I'll be working on some stuff maybe this summer. So I'll keep everybody posted. He's Sergeant Soldier's holding up the laser pointer stuff. I think that's available on Cotswold right now. So.
Great.
This is the new updated version with a scope. This one has a scope now. Jim redid it based on something I said. This is the one with the scope. Yep. And again, 12 mystery boxes.
Yeah, 11 and 3/4 mystery boxes.
Yeah, I've got your ladder for my MSV. I'm going to redo my MSV at some point and put that on there. And I got a bunch of other stuff too. So
awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Hey Jim, thanks for coming on the show tonight, buddy.
Thank you.
Let's do it again.
Absolutely.
Very soon. Let's do it again. Anytime.
Awesome. See you at lunch on Wednesday, man.
Take care.
Yep. Very good. Great.